the running feather and demonstrate to you how we execute it in Waltz.
We've chosen 3 different combinations to showcase the running feather for you. The difference between these combinations are the shape changes and the timings, and also the figures that we dance following the running feather.
Getting these right makes our running feather super interesting and can look very different.
So we're going to start with probably the more simple and more common one. We're going to dance a running feather into an oversway. Now, the first thing that we have to keep in mind as well is how we enter the running feather. Now, there's 2 typical ways that you can do it. One is from closed position and the other is from a hover. In this sequence, we're going to enter it from a hover. So we're into our hover position, stepping outside, into promenade, and into the oversway. If we were to just have a quick look at the more simple version of the running feather, it would normally start from a closed position. So starting from the closed position, I would be the man would step through the lady's feet. Then we step through into promenade, onto the 3rd step. And then we can either close back up or remain in promenade position, depending on what we're doing after. So the main difference between that and what we're doing today is that from the hover, we're stepping with a side lead so that our first step is placed outside partner, not in closed position. So let's just have a quick look at that first combination again, the running feather to the oversway. Now, one of the things to consider for this combination is the timing and the sway change. Now, in this situation, we are using 1 and 2, 3 as our timing for the running feather. Now, the key consideration really is the shape change. So in this combination, we are coming from the hover, we're obviously having a sway to the man's left and the lady's right. What we are doing is quite a dynamic sway change. We sway to the man's right through the first part of the running feather, and then through the rise of the running feather, we're actually changing the sway to the man's left and lady's right. So, sway to the man's left, lady's right, change it to the lady's left, man's right, and then as we're rising, we're changing the sway. Now what this sway change does is it leads really nicely into a beautiful kind of rolling action to the oversway.
One consideration for the leader in this figure is how our head matches the beautiful sway changes that our partner is generating. When we start in closed position, we're obviously to the left, but immediately as we go to that hover, our head goes to the right, as our partner has quite a bit of sway there. Now, as we travel through the outside partner position, I maintain my right head for that first step, change it back to the left on the 2nd step, and then through to promenade, I again change it to the right. The timing of this is really important, so I'm constantly monitoring how much my partner is swaying. I'm making sure that my activity is matching that, and that my head is corresponding to that sway.
That is very important. It would look quite odd if Talysa's head did not reflect the sway that we've produced in our bodies. Okay, we're going to move on to our second combination now. So the running feather will essentially be the same in this situation, with one key difference. The key difference in this one is that following the running feather, we don't want to do a line figure straight after. So in the first combination, we have power and movement in the running feather, followed immediately by a static line figure. Now we want to move more after the running feather. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the sway to the man's right and to the lady's left. That's going to facilitate more movement after the running feather. So what we're going to do is natural pivots into a right check. right for the lady, head to the left, keep the same sway, and then change for the right check. Beautiful. Now, the timing for the running feather, is the same as the first option, which, if you will recall, is 1 and 2, 3 time. Yeah, we're then following that with a couple of natural pivots before we change the rotation by checking to the right. So after that, we could do something maybe that turns to the left like a slip pivot.
So what's unusual about this figure is that when we are going to promenade, I am maintaining my head to the left. So this is quite different to the previous combination that we did, but it's a really beautiful effect to a promenade position. Now, it's quite advanced. Most dancers know that every time we turn to a promenade, a lady should turn her head to the right. This is an unusual combination, but something that makes this very unique and beautiful. It's really important whenever we're dancing a running feather, regardless of which combination we choose to do, that we're aware of our positions. It's not just about knowing where our feet are and what our footwork is, but it's very important to understand how that relates to our partner in the body positions.
So, you might ask yourself, why should she keep her head to the left here, even though we're turning to promenade? And the answer is because of the sway that we have in our bodies. So in the combination that we did previously, the first combination, we had a sway change while we turned to promenade. So when I changed my sway to the left, that led Talysa to turn her head to the right. In this combination, I am changing the body position through the hips, but I'm simultaneously keeping my sway to my right, which is telling Talysa's head to stay to the left. So that's the indicator for the lady to know whether she should turn her head to the right or whether she should keep it left in the running feather.
Correct. And guys, you have to be super clear with this one. Very, very much about the clarity here. If I get an indication that the sway is changing, especially when we're in promenade, I will be turning that head. So very important to be very deliberate about the sway changes that you're producing here.
Absolutely. Now, let's finish off this video by talking about our final combination for today. Again, we will use the running feather. However, the timing is going to be slightly different. Now, what we're going to do in this combination is a natural toe pivot after the running feather. Okay, so toe pivots can be a little bit tricky. So, we're just going to show you the broken first. 3, 1, and 2, and 3, 1. Previously, the first two combinations were 1 and 2, 3. The timing in this third combination is 1 and 2 and 3. So it's very syncopated, it's very fast. The reason why we do that is because we want to peak our rise to reflect the music. So if we were to not change our timing, our peak of the rise would be on 1 instead of at the end of the bar. So it's important to consider your timing depending on what combination you're doing. Why don't we try that in hold as well? So we have our hover, 3, 1 and 2 and 3, 1. Beautiful. That was enough. In this combination, we actually do have a similar situation to the second combination that we did, where we are changing the position to promenade. However, I'm keeping my sway the same to the right, therefore Talysa kept her head to the left.
Really be careful with the peak of the rise on this step. You'll know that in Waltz, we usually have our peak on the 2. In this figure, we're going on the 2 and. So just be really careful not to peak too soon. You have to walk that rise up those stairs and peak on the end.
That's a very good point. Okay, well, I think that's probably all we have time for today. We hope you've enjoyed that. We hope you can incorporate the running feather into your waltz routines. You might want to try all 3 of these and pick your favorite. Thanks for watching, guys.